majority of my time I spend working in logistics, and then, as we say in French, during my lost hours, I write. I've been with Method Writing and Natalie for the last 2 years, and slowly but surely I'm finishing my book. So this is the story of a girl who lives in France. I'm from Ukraine, but I've been living in France for 7 years. And so I'm writing about my everyday life, about France, about French people, about my love life, and this kind of things. And so this text I wrote when I couldn't write. And so I used a well-known trick. If you don't know, if you can't write, you have this, how do you call this? Like, yeah, you can't write, just write about the fact that you can't write. So the title of the text is "The Bullshit Text Should Be Written." So I hope you like it. If I do something, it should be fucking awesome right away. With such a statement, I sit down to write and I'm writing fucking nothing. My thoughts are confused, sentences are too raw, and words come together in some kind of inharmonious pile. I have a desperate desire to throw away my laptop, to angrily slam the wall next to me, to fall to the floor in despair, and to dramatically start crying. I take a sip of white wine and throw the dice. It would be incorrect to say that I'm a perfectionist, but allowing myself to be imperfect according to my own standards is not an easy task. My tiny, frightened inner child is shaken with the fear at the thought that some Vasya and Ola won't like my work, or that I'll be disappointed in myself even before some Vasya and Ola have time to think about it. My tiny, frightened inner child doesn't have the right to fail. And then comes the only real question. What the fuck? Who the fuck needs all this suffering? Who the hell is it all for? According to the rules, a crisis is a chance to allow yourself to write fucking bullshit, and then even more bullshit and more bullshit. And that is until you manage to make a good text out of bullshit. And after good texts come even better ones. And with perfect text, one day you'll find yourself among classics. God forbid, of course. Darling, what would you like me to cook for you today? What a beautiful question, and what an incredible positive effect it has. As if I didn't say 1,000,000,000 times that even if I love cooking, sometimes it can be quite pleasant to see someone doing it for me. Our new half IKEA kitchen is flooded with the evening light by a lamp in a paper lampshade. He works for another company now, and I can see him every evening no later than 6 p.m. He doesn't wear his uniform anymore, so now he's a respectable man in a sweater with Hugo Boss cologne. The frying pan which he holds in his hand fits him well. Madam would like salmon, gnocchi, and zucchini, s'il vous plaît. I say and theatrically wave my hand as if I really have a choice, and we don't have only these 3 products in our fridge, plus some eggs, butter, and Ukrainian spreads. When I went to Athens a long time ago, I bought myself a little statue of Plato. I bought him because it was my ancient period when I was doing only this, reading ancient sages, watching the not yet well-known in Ukraine Mary Beards, and learning ancient Greek. My Plato survived at least 7 relocations and a lot of trips. At a certain point, he even lost his hat, but some glue saved him. And now he is sitting on my bookshelf, all yellowed because of life and stresses. He looks at me with his wise eyes, and he seems to say with a Greek accent, "Stop suffering, girl." Yet stop suffering isn't an option. A day without suffering is not a real day. At least a little bit of suffering should be done. I suffer in order to have someone to feel sorry for me. And if someone feels sorry for me, it means that they understand. And if they understand, they love. And if I am loved, my tiny, frightened inner child feels that she is okay. So it goes on in a circle. And here is a perfect moment to remember the damn 90s and young parents who were bringing me up the best they could without really knowing what this best looks like. My childhood started in times of post-colonial development, in times when I considered macaroni with sugar a delicacy, in times when my mom and dad studied and worked at the same time in order to buy me fancy unique jeans with Mickey Mouse on them that no one on our street or maybe even town had. In times when, in order to be trendy, I needed to have a yo-yo. In times when my dad was bringing home VHS with Disney cartoons with bad Russian dubbing. I'm trying to persuade my tiny, frightened inner child that fucking awesomeness doesn't come right away, that fucking bullshit texts are sometimes written, and that I should continue writing them as fucking bullshit as they are in order to get out of the pit of non-writing. My tiny, frightened inner child grimaces in displeasure, inflates her lips, and crosses her arms in a showy manner, but finally agrees. Respectable man in a sweater with Hugo Boss cologne, to whom the frying pan fits well-cooked dinner. I close my laptop with a certain feeling of discontent, and I continue repeating to myself that fucking bullshit texts are sometimes written, but they shouldn't be the reason to stop writing.